George Orwell painted a very troubling future for human society globally in 1984. Here we are in 1998, and the technologies that I see are scarier by far than George Orwell's worst nightmare.
I think it is the biggest threat to humanity, and it's been going on for maybe 50 years. It's very easy. If you implant into the brain, it can be done through the nostrils. It's like a sinus puncture, actually, almost. Or, of course, you can have a drill into the skull straight ahead. But nowadays, the implants have become very sophisticated, very small, and they are often put into the backs of the people because they do not show in autopsies.
I thought I lived a very boring life. I knew I was tired all the time. I was just exhausted. I had a lot of nightmares that I could not explain. I didn't know that I had another life, really, probably several other lives that I was living.
The American people should definitely be concerned about this, but most of them are oblivious to it. Most of the American people just have their can of beer, their bowl of potato chips, and watch the Super Bowl. First, what is this we can hear now? Well, this is a signal that shows us they're alive and working and operating. It's at 435 megahertz pulse-type FM modulation. This is underground at the Montauk base, about a half a mile to a quarter to a half a mile down.
Transmitter device, which he put into the brain of a bull. We obtained this footage, which chillingly shows the future direction of the MK-Ultra program. Dr. Delgado, who can clearly be seen standing in the ring, stops the bull in his tracks every time he activates the radio transmitter. Crude but effective mind control.
So it's a scientific fact that you can put a brain electrode in somebody's head. You can stimulate that electrically from a remote distance, and that will have a dramatic effect on their behavior.
At a Washington hotel, we met up with the man who had a neurophone, a sophisticated device which can enable commands to be directly transmitted into the heads of Manchurian candidates. He demonstrated its incredible abilities to us inside a locked hotel room. He told us that in the wrong hands, it could be used to create brainwashed assassins. Unfortunately, we were unable to demonstrate it on television because, he claimed, it was a classified intelligence device.
Just that, to broadcast an intelligible voice right into the auditory cortex. The technology by which this voice can be broadcast into the human mind is very straightforward.
A presidential inquiry of mind control experimentation. I was subjected to mind control experimentation during the Cold War era in the 1950s.
And I'm a citizen of the United States. I've been a victim of mind control experimentation since 1950.
I am also an American citizen living in Canada who was a victim of the MK-Ultra program in the 1960s.
I was a victim of mind control from New Orleans, Louisiana. I demand that the President of the United States appoint an advisory committee to look into...
I, at 14 and 16 years of age, underwent 2 unwitting mind control experimental procedures involving brain tissue removal. I'd like to convey my concerns to the President of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton.
As a child, I was subjected to mind control experimentation that is continuing today. As a citizen of the United States, I demand that a presidential inquiry and
there be a presidential inquiry into the CIA's mind control projects. I was born in 1975, and I was an unwilling participant in these heinous crimes. This stuff has to stop. It's against all laws, codes, and moral ethics known to man. Please do something.
President Clinton made this apology for the radiation experiments carried out on the American people.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. Some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities. When the government does wrong, we have a moral responsibility to admit it. The duty we owe to one another to tell the truth and to protect our fellow citizens from excesses like these is one we can never walk away from.
The implants are shown very, very clearly. And of course, how they were put there, you can't say from an X-ray, but you can see that it was an implant, something that does not belong to the X-ray.
Dr. Kilda, a former acting chief medical officer for Finland, firmly believes that Naseland was used in covert mind control experiments.
It's very easy. If you implant into the brain, it can be done through the nostrils. It's like a sinus puncture, actually, almost. Or, of course, you can have a drill into the skull straight ahead. But nowadays, the implants have become very sophisticated, very small, and they are often put into the backs of the people because they do not show in autopsies. I think it is the biggest threat to humanity, and it's been going on for maybe 50 years.
Researchers have estimated that since the 1950s, thousands of American citizens may have been unwittingly used in this secret program. Alleged victims speak of horrific experiments using hypnosis, drugs and implants, as well as cutting-edge microwave technology. Their aim was simple: to erase the rational mind and create program killers. Robert Naseland believes that he was implanted with at least 5 transmitters in a series of operations at a secret Stockholm hospital. Since then, he says he's been aware of people secretly monitoring his movements. He claims the implants drove him to criminal and antisocial behavior. Finally, in despair, he sought out the help of a radiologist who was prepared to X-ray his alleged implants. He sent these X-rays to a famous Swedish medic, Dr. Lindström, who was practicing in America. Lindström replied that the X-rays confirmed the presence of transmitters. After having them removed, he took the devices to a laboratory in New York to have the implants examined.
But when I returned about 10 days later on, when they had told me to come back, they had loosed the transmitter. They had loosed this piece which were removed from my head.
So, who do you think took the transmitter?
Well, I think that any security agency, either CIA or the Swedish CHiP, must have been involved in this thing when my transmitter were loosed.